Hey, fellow Jedi. I'm Mike, and you're watching Force Within TV. And today I want to talk about who will die at the end of Star Wars Rebels. So the first thing I want to say, the first person I want to talk about, character I guess, Thrawn is going to meet his demise in the fourth season of Star Wars Rebels, which I also think, I'm predicting, is going to be the last. So Thrawn is going to be overcome, I believe, by the different rebel cells. He's going to be overthrown, most likely with the help of Mandalore. I think we've also seen some foreshadowing of, the banter between Tarkin and Thrawn. Tarkin challenging Thrawn to do certain things. Thrawn being undermined by, his subordinates, people that he's in charge of. I think that's ultimately how he's going to go down. But of course, the rebels are going to be the hammer that sort of does him in. And again, that will happen in season 4. All right, let's move on to Kanan. I believe Kanan is going to meet a hero's death. Freddie Prinze talked about this on some of his interviews, I believe when he was on Collider Video's Jedi Council, that he thought Kanan should get a hero's death in the first season or even the second season. Instead he was blinded. It was nice that they kept the character around because he was so popular. I certainly enjoy watching Kanan and seeing his progression, definitely into season 3 as well. But I don't think there's a lot for Kanan. There's not a lot for Kanan to do now. He said as much in 0 Hour. There's not a lot that he can teach Ezra. He is one with the Force now. He is a Jedi Knight. So I believe Kanan is going to meet his heroic death. I think it's going to be saving Hera, and their family. But he's not going to be around for much longer. And it makes sense because he wasn't around for the original trilogy or even mentioned during Rogue One. So Zeb, I think, also is going to, be killed. I think him and Kallus are going to reunite. And, maybe they're going to go on some sort of a suicide mission. But I absolutely love the episode that they were in together in season 2. And I thought it was kind of peculiar that they haven't reunited yet. In 0 Hour, Kallus, once he's on board of the Ghost, he talks to Kanan. I thought it would make a lot more sense for him to talk to Zeb because they sort of had that connection. So I'm looking for that connection to come back and them to go on some sort of suicide mission, or maybe they need to, hold off the Imperials while everyone else escape another heroic death. Okay. Lastly, I think we're actually going to end up at the Battle of Scarif at the very end of season 4. And I think the Ghost is actually going to be shot down. We see the Ghost in Rogue One at the Battle of Scarif. And, it's flying around, but at some point, we just don't see it anymore. So I think it makes sense that the Ghost actually goes to ground. The crew is going to survive, and they're going to get off Scarif. But I think the Ghost itself is going to be eliminated. Again, we don't see it in the original trilogy at all. So I think the Ghost isn't going to survive. So let's just talk quickly about who I do think is going to survive, and that is Ezra and Sabine. I think they're going to be on Mandalore, which makes sense. They're not around at Yavin Base during the original trilogy, of course, but I think Ezra and Sabine are going to be on Mandalore. Ezra is going to become more of a gray Jedi, and he's going to be helping Sabine. That's sort of going to be what's left of their family. Hera, I believe, is going to survive, of course, and Chopper. We saw them in Rogue One. She has always been dedicated to the cause of the rebellion, and I think that is going to be continuing. She has been promoted to general in Rogue One. And generals usually aren't, the types who are getting their hands dirty in the middle of a battle. They're usually, if they are, they're usually on the biggest and safest ships. So I think she survives. And we may hear mention of her or see her in certain comics that fill in between the original trilogy or even after. And another one, of course, is Rex is going to survive because they did mention that he was in Return of the Jedi. So if you might just want to Google that, or if I can find some information about it, I'll post it in the description below. So thank you so much. Please comment below who you think is going to survive or not survive in Star Wars Rebels Season 4, which I again think is going to be the last season, unfortunately. It's been a great run, but I think it's time to move on to something else. And, I also want you to head on over to my website, forcewithin.net, and there you're going to find some training that will help you become more motivated. I also want you to head on over to forcewithin.net, and there you can find some training that will help you relieve stress and become more motivated and feel like a Jedi. So head on over to forcewithin.net to check that out today. Thanks for watching, and may the force of others be with you, always. Please consider subscribing, checking out my Jedi Train Like a Jedi series. Maybe check out a recent video, or down in the video description you will find several links to my website, including a table of contents of all the Train Like a Jedi series.